Everybody, we're going to give a minute here and let everybody join us, and we're going to talk about some positive eco news. Good morning. Hope everybody's having a wonderful day. We're starting a little later than usual here, but we are here for conservation coffee. So, everybody have a nice brew of tea or coffee. I don't even need this actually. And today we are going to be bringing you some of the most positive news stories that are out there that involve the environment, because we wake up, we're in conservation, we like the environment, we're environmentalists, and we wake up and generally the news that we see is bad news, or we just don't even get the option to get to talk to our friends that are in conservation, because otherwise you end up scrolling through Facebook looking at stories that sometimes just lead to different outrage. So I think what we need to do in this time, day and age, is understand the power that we have, and we are going to talk about how we've actually created quite a few changes in the world just by changing the way that we live day to day. Hey, Andrea, good morning. I hope you're having a wonderful coffee, tea, possibly wine or beer, depending on where you see things. And yes, good morning from Romania. Thank you for being on today. I love it. I love the fact that we have an international audience, because the stories we're going to highlight today are international, and I think that's one of the most important things that we can always think about is our country has its own approach, other countries will have their own approach. So what we can do is look around and see what everybody's got going and then find the best solutions. So today what I wanted to do is actually start with some good news from good old Australia. Ooh, coffee, good. Good. Well, salud coffee. Hey, Mitch. Good morning. Hope you're having a wonderful coffee as well. And thanks for joining us this morning. So I'm really excited. So Australia, amazingly enough, now they have their own challenges when it comes to conservation with sharks and everything. Hey, Carrie. Good morning. Nice to see you. Hope you're having a great coffee or tea. And I know you, Carrie, you're probably enjoying some beautiful area in nature. I know you've got an amazing eye for nature. So I hope you guys are all having a beautiful morning over there. And to Mitch and Carrie, I hope you guys are safe. I've seen the multitude of bad weather coming your way. So I just hope all your friends and family are safe down in Florida. My heart goes out to everybody down there. My friends in Louisiana, my friends in Florida, Alabama, Texas, all that area is very getting really hammered right now. So hopefully everybody's okay. So one thing is we've got this really nice, we're reaching a time where our fossil fuels are becoming a big question mark. And there's a lot of questions on how to move forward with that. Now, that's not really what we're going to be talking about today, fossil fuels so much. But what we're going to talk about is some of the incredible, interesting initiatives being led to make a change towards the future. And I think a lot of times these things are like fashion shows, where those people come out in ridiculous outfits and you don't go buy those outfits, but it alerts you to the concept of what's possible within that world of fashion. And the same thing I think we have when it comes to initiatives that countries take, or that consumers or that manufacturers take. Sometimes they are maybe not even fully realistic to hit, but they set a goal and they set things in motion, which is great. And I think we all can agree that the world needs things set in motion right now. We still need to protect it. So the good news is, and please, everybody, put on your mental Hawaiian shirts and join me for some positive eco news. In Australia, this is pretty incredible. Without any form of government support, Australian electric vehicles tripled. The sales tripled in Australia, and I think that's amazing. And the other great thing is that 8 are below $65,000, which if you're like me, you're going to be buying a car that's way below $65,000. I'm, being somebody that always works, in conservation, there's not a lot of money. So, it's not like I'm out buying really nice cars. And people that can buy nice cars, I think it's definitely important that they consider the ecological impact of those cars. But the nice thing is that electric is starting to become available to the regular person. And that's how we're going to change things. I always say, like, it's very interesting that Tesla is doing what they're doing with their cars, but having 6 people drive them around is not going to change the world. Having everybody have access to a cleaner form of emissions, that can change the world in a very positive way. And again, I think the best things we can do is revolution through routine. One of those routines is definitely what we drive. It's very difficult because not a lot of us have control over that, and it really comes to the manufacturers. So, but anyway, positive news that people have just said, you know what, let's just try this. Like, we're into it. So it's very cool to see that in Australia, electric car sales tripled without any promotion or any help or any assistance from any formal government policy. Pretty cool. We really don't need the governments all that much. We can really handle it on our own. Now, to another story that I think is fantastic news, and everybody in here is going to love hearing this. There is a baby boom going on in Kenya in the national parks for elephants. So this is great news. This is really some of the best news that we've seen. A lot of problems go on. There's a lot of poaching issues down in that area, and a lot of the animals are almost extinct. And unfortunately, big game hunting and trophy hunting to import ivory and rhino horn it's been allowed again. So you may or may not know that ivory can actually be imported into the United States, even though it's from an endangered species, and it's actually illegal around the rest of the world. So the great news is through Africa's work in conservation, and a lot of my friends out there work in the parks, and these guys put their lives on the line every day to go out there and work on the parks. And so, they have found that there's this huge baby boom going on over there. And I just think it's some of the best news. If it continues at this rate, we will see an amazing possibility of repopulation of a lot of these elephants, which have gone from being prolific to almost extinct. And so everybody in Kenya doing an amazing job. It's extra difficult because now you will have the poachers that will come out to try to grab these extra tusks and these extra whatever they can sell. But that little baby's so cute. So great news, everybody. So, one of the animals that a lot of people fight for and a lot of people are conscious about are the elephants. And although we still have a whole world of issues to deal with elephants, there's unfortunately used for entertainment in a lot of places, tourist things for a lot of places. But down there, they are trying to protect them and save them. And again, I want to just say thank you to everybody that works on these topics, because if you are out there and you're working as a ranger, you're working in the parks, you're working with elephants, and there's a whole industry around trying to save the elephants, thank you, because your work is really, really critical and also very dangerous. And as we know, there was just recently a lot of murders in Virunga National Park. So it's very dangerous. And these guys literally, guys and girls, there are an amazing amount of all-female groups that are rangers. And actually, there's a great documentary. If you haven't seen Breaking Their Silence, please go to breakingtheirsilence.com. Go check it out. It's an incredible documentary about women's contribution on the front line, and a lot of times they're just not conceived of as these rangers, So we have to remember that there are people, and it doesn't even matter who you are, their hearts and their souls bring them into this job where they get paid not that much money, and they put their lives on the line to try to find a better future for their children and everyone else's. So it's a really beautiful, heartfelt thing, and that is a wonderful, wonderful result of a wonderful initiative down in Kenya. So we can all learn from that. Mitch Allen says, we have a hybrid 54 miles per gallon, and it was affordable in the 20s. Mitch, that is great. See, that's exactly what we need, is an affordable solution. 54 miles is incredible. I'm still driving a truck from 2002. We're in California. We have very strict emissions. So it's not like spitting out, anything, but it's still very clean, but it gets, 20 at the most miles, maybe 13 if it's pulling a load heavy. 54 is amazing. And gas mileage is actually something that's going on in our government right now. They're debating over how efficient cars are allowed to be. Sounds crazy? Google it. You'll see that there's a battle going on. And I think it's a very important thing because it's another revolution through routine. Everybody drives. So you have elements like emissions, you have elements like tires, right? And we have elements like oils. So we have the three things. We have the oil that's been chopped up and it's up in the air, the emissions, and how that affects us. It's an invisible thing, so it's very difficult to grasp for us as people. We do have oil emissions, and what do you do when you get your oil changed? Where does all that oil go? What's happening in that realm? And then there's the cars themselves. And the more efficient they are, the better. And the cleaner they burn, the better they are. So Mitch, thank you for getting that hybrid. That's pretty awesome. I think that really is one way that we can all, make a big change. And it would be great if they start making more hybrids, like especially with trucks. Like, working with a lot of conservation, you deal with people that have a lot of heavy equipment, and how are they going to pull this stuff out? So a lot of my friends that have like the big trucks or dualies, or and they're very practical and very necessary. I would love to see more innovative solutions from companies like Tesla and Toyota and other companies. Ford has been doing a lot with hybrids, very innovative company. So no matter what you like to buy, there is a wonderful option. And as we grow, it'll change. I mean, just like, people don't really have the Chevelles anymore. They got 4 miles to the gallon, or the Gremlins, they got 7 miles. By the way, Gremlins, if you don't know this, there is a whole group of people in California. I learned this when I was working on this show, Wrench Wars. There's a whole group that restores Gremlins from the 70s and races them on a track. Yeah. Really interesting. Really interesting. Hello, Hano. Good morning. Thank you for joining today. It's really nice to have you here on the Positive Conservation Coffee, where we talk about positive eco news so you can start your day off with knowing that what we do makes a difference. And I think that's the important thing here. Mitch says, went from a full-size van, 12 miles per gallon. Wow. I remember those vans, like back in the day, you opened them up and there was like a waiting room. Remember everybody? There was like 2 seats and a whole table. And then in the back were like, stadium seating. And I mean, it was just like amazing. We had one, I remember as a kid, and we took family vacations on it. And it was really interesting. It was very interesting. But yeah, 12 miles to the gallon, that's not going to help the environment at all. So all of us that have inefficient vehicles, for one, we need to think about upgrading some form and getting better gas mileage, because you're also losing a lot of money when you get these low mileage machines. So it affects all around your personal ecology and the ecology of the world around you. So and one of the biggest problems we're having right now is with everything being reopened to drilling for more oil. But the good thing is, while that's going on, you've got companies that are pulling all their money out of oil production and pushing it towards solar production, towards electric production, towards new possibilities. And the thing is we know they're not as destructive as what we have. And we do need to make a change. We don't know how amazing they'll be about leading us actually towards a sustainable future, but it's something that we have to try. We're kind of backed into a corner right now. So, again, bad news turns to good news, and that's what we're all about here. So the other great piece of news I wanted to share with everybody, I'm so excited. Now, if you dive, you know that there's always interesting things you see down there, and you go, what is that? It's almost like you get to go into outer space. And the reason I bring this up is that I think that with a sustainable mindset, you have the understanding that we don't know everything yet. There are ways to change, ways to grow, and ways to see and rethink how we interact with the world around us. And that's a sustainable kind of mindset. Now, the opposite of that is the mindset that says that we already know everything. We've done it all. There are people that believe that they want to say, like, I already have the t-shirt or whatever, like people that think they've seen and done it all. But the thing is, when you think about the Amazon jungle and you think about the fact that we've only found approximately 3% of the plants that exist in the Amazon, and out of that has come 70% of our Western medicine. They are discovering new animals all the time, and that's what I want to bring us to, is a beautiful discovery of a brand new, cute little thing here. Hey, Vera. Good morning, Vera. It's good to see you on here. This is a Pygmy Seahorse. Now, they do have these in other places. The nearest location, generally for these Pygmy Seahorses, is about 50,000 miles away from where they found this little guy. And this guy is in South Africa. So this is a huge discovery, so cute, so fascinating. If you don't know much about seahorses, they are one of the most amazing aliens in the world. Between how they get pregnant, how they raise their babies, how they mate, they are incredible. I mean, they are absolutely incredible, and they're in danger. When I was in Cambodia, I got to spend the evening with some really poor local fishermen, and they actually were crabbers. And on the boat, when they would find seahorses caught up in the nets, they would take them and they would hang them in nooses on the side of the boats. So they would slowly strangle and die, and then they would be able to be sold for Chinese medicine to the Vietnamese, because where we were was an archipelago where there was one island was Vietnam, one island was Cambodia. So and so you had a triangulation where it was a very confusing area. And the beauty, though, and I don't want to harp on that too much, because the beauty is there are a team of people out there that are fighting for the seahorses, and they are keeping them alive. And it's an absolutely brilliant organization. Yeah, absolutely brilliant. The MCC. I was really lucky. I got to spend some time down there, help defend the seahorses with these extremely passionate, devoted individuals. Marine Conservation Cambodia. You can go to mcc.org, check them out. They are incredible. They literally put their bodies on the line to save seahorses, which are just the most fragile, beautiful. And if you've never seen one in the wild just swimming around, it's magical. It's incredible. Seeing one changed my life forever, and knowing that they can be saved is also a really positive thing that we can all take with us. Hey, good morning, Hannah. Good morning, Chelsea. Thank you for joining us today. Thanks, Vera. I appreciate it. I hope everybody's getting a good coffee, because look, these are all the things that we want to talk about. Is for 50 years, we have been all saying, listen, we need to save our environment. But the beauty is, with the internet, has given us a power. We might, if you're like me, I don't have any friends that like conservation. I can't go get coffee and do this in real life, which is why I love this community we have online. And the important thing is that we keep talking about conservation, because the more we do it, the more changes are made. I mean, look at that. Triple the sales of electric cars in Australia just because people thought it was time. That's pretty awesome. The fact that we're having the baby boom in Kenya, the elephants are having a baby boom. It's going to require a lot more security. These animals will be in a lot of danger, but Africa has the most passionate protectors of these animals that people try to poach. And it is an ongoing problem. And the problem, is not a black and white problem. Again, I encourage everybody to watch Breaking Their Silence, my friend Carrie David's documentary about this exact topic. And if you haven't seen the podcast where I had Carrie on, check it out. It's on the YouTube channel where we have all the past podcasts, or you can also go to Spotify or iTunes, by the way, and Conservation Conversations on there. So proud of that. 1 year in, we've all done this. Chelsea says, recycling got eliminated. What? Now, Chelsea, if you don't mind, where exactly is that? And I have heard that it did get eliminated. This is very problematic. This is very problematic because recycle. We were just talking actually yesterday about the fact that the recyclers are saying you can recycle your pizza boxes. So I was encouraging everybody to grab a pizza, vegan pizza if you're vegan, or regular pizza if you're not, and recycle that. I myself am guilty of having always thrown away my pizza boxes because I thought the grease was a no-no, but it turns out you can recycle it, and they're encouraging us to. Thank you, Mitch, for that that link. We'll check that out. Florida, Fort Lauderdale. In Florida, it is being eliminated by the city. Sherry, thank you guys for letting us know that. This is a real, burned, oh my gosh. With the amount of plastics that make it into landfills, and they're going to start burning these plastics, that is when you think, how can it be worse? They just answered the question, I think. How can it be worse to have all this plastic there? They're going to burn it. It's crazy. I was just talking to my mom yesterday about the fact that, plastic, it was a solution to an answer. It was an answer to a question nobody was asking. Everything was fine when we had all glass, which is 100% recyclable, 100% compostable, and literally zero waste. I mean, you throw a bottle off the side of a boat, it's going to sink and stay there for thousands of years and eventually turn into sand. So, no big thing there. Yeah, Chelsea, that's crazy over there. Let's see. Sherry says, in Davenport, live in a mobile home park and recycling is eliminated here. Amazing that they are doing this to us. Now they're not giving us any option. And this is really tragic because when it comes to these plastics, when they're burning them, not only are they going to start giving us air toxins that are not going to be measured or regulated, because nobody really does that when it comes to recycling. Nobody looks at the aspects of those. But what's going to happen is a lot of these communities are going to end up with the plastics that are going to become embedded. I mean, when I was overseas in the Philippines, I saw plastic beaches, like whole beaches made of plastic trash. And it was so deep. It's all it was compacted plastic trash. The fishermen were starving to death. You can't survive in an environment like that. It's just really nuts, it's really, it's the sad part is, and okay, when I took, I recently, this last summer, I got certified in marine litter through the UN. And one of the things that we talked about is the problem is that there's a lot of what they call shareholders. There's people that own the companies that are unfortunately, the influencers over generally over the lawmakers. Then you've got the people that have to consume. Then you've got the manufacturers. Then you've got the actual people that are affected by it. Now, the problem is that generally it all starts upstream. And if you imagine the stream and throwing plastics into it, so it starts upstream at the factories and it ends downstream at the local beach cleanups. Now, passionate people are always providing downstream solutions, but I think people are seeing that we need to provide upstream solutions. And as I always say, we are actually pulling that off right now, because revolution through routine, telling companies what you will accept and what you will not accept financially, ties into their responsibility. And the more that we buy ethically, the better they have to change their ethics to match our ethics. And again, I'm just going to put this up here. I always am a big fan of this place, Boycott. You can go there and you can go check out. Oh, I misspelled it. You can find out what you're buying in accordance to your own ethics and if what you're buying helps you or not. Let's see now. Let's get caught up. This is a really interesting conversation. We're having a slightly longer coffee than usual, but this is what it's all about. Mitch says Polk County has reduced what you can recycle. Mitch, I've seen that in a lot of other neighborhoods as well, where they're reducing the number of what they'll take. They'll take, for example, number 1 and 2 plastics, which are the simplest. Now, a lot of this has to do with the fact that recycling, as many of you know, is a greenwash issue. Recycling overall, for a lot of the cities, they would take the materials and they would send them to China, and then China actually, because they're only one of the only other countries that has the ability to do this with plastics, would take the plastics, pound them down, and create everything that we know as polyester, and then ship it back to Walmart as cheap clothing. And I always say the problem with that is that we never think of our clothing as plastic, so we never, properly dispose of when your shirt runs out. And if it's polyester, you don't think about it, and that's fashion industry is a massive place where plastics go unnoticed. Chelsea, oh my gosh, Chelsea, that just really, so they say it's cost prohibitive to recycle. Sherry, that's really interesting that they would say that, because what they're saying is that the residents' health isn't being taken into account, and that is such a huge smack in the face for everybody that lives there. They had one job, right? And once again, Sherry, you bring it up. This is a really interesting thing. This is the cancer of the body politic. The people that are supposed to figure out what to do with it are actually putting it in our laps. And microplastics are some of the biggest toxins. There's been a lot of reports showing that there's microplastics in everything, and that the average person eats one credit card worth of plastic a week. Just in our food, our surroundings. It's very hidden. We live in a very toxic world, and so the best thing we can do is create a non-toxic environment around ourselves, mentally, physically, and they go hand in hand, and we need to remember that we stay together, we have a voice, we are a positive voice. We can't let all the negativity get to us. We have to stay positive. We have to get the toxicity out of our thoughts, the toxicity out of our conversations, and we have to remove the toxicity from our lives. And there are wonderful websites like kindhumans.com, notoxlife.com. These are places where you can go buy products that guarantee will not poison you or your family. And that's a good place to start. I can personally say with my own health that when I changed over the way that I lived, my mind started to work in a clearer fashion. So I think these two are here. Hey, Ines, good morning. That is my cousin. Hey, it's good to see you on here. Thank you. I love to wear my Hawaiian shirts. And as I always say, I like for the conservation coffee for everybody to just put their Hawaiian shirts on their thoughts and take a little journey with us, because we need to think about positivity. We need to think about ways that in these dark times, we can remember that we are not divided, we are unified. Before COVID kicked in and seemed to philosophically divided a lot of people, we have to remember that we had a massive, massive movement going where we were demanding a cleaner future. And, through all this, we're still doing it. And people are still doing it. And it's harder because we're all stuck. Everybody's stuck at home. People are getting frustrated. They're losing money. There's a lot of problems people have to deal with. Conservation is not on the top of the list right now, yet it remains on the top of the list, and our voice remains unified. So I just, I like to do these because I want to show everybody that us being together as a group is making change. We are affecting the world around us. The news isn't going to tell you that, but we are affecting the world around us. And I think the proof is in all the news, but they never give us the credit we deserve. And not me, I'm talking about all of us, because we have all been conscious of ivory products. We've all been conscious of palm oil. Like, people make their conscious choices. They shop ethically, companies change, and we can claim our victories, And the best thing is right now, everybody's concerned with their health. So it's a wonderful time to re-examine what's in our water, what's going on. Before COVID, the entire world sort of had the dots connected for you. But that's been erased, and now we need to reconnect our dots and understand that our inside and our environment are tied together, and the two can only thrive as long as both thrive. So, that's another reason why I like to be here, because, we are positive and we can get together and talk about this. Chelsea says, how can they teach us better than say never mind? Yeah, and Chelsea, there's something actually very fascinating with this. I don't have the link to it right now. I'm going to put the link on. Actually, hold on, everybody. Let me see if I can find this. There is this wonderful open source. It's going to sound crazy, but it's an open source directory, open source recycling project. And what they do is they actually have plans For under $5,000, these guys are giving you, and you don't have to pay them, it's just open source, it's free. They're blueprints for how to create your own recycling centers. Now, one of these blueprints, success stories, is in Africa, where they have gone in, they've built their own modified recycling program. They hire people to go get the plastics from the water, pay them so people get paid. Then they turn those into those backpacks I was talking about, where they have the solar panel in them and the light in them that help the kids that have no electricity do their homework at night. So it all is very organically comes together. And what I'm actually going to do is, let me see here, open source plastic recycling. Is this be it? Precious plastic? Yeah. So I'm going to put this over here for everybody to check out. It's an open source. Again, it's something that they wanted to make available, preciousplastic.com. Crazy title, right? Because why would plastic be precious? It's precious if you hold it and recycle it and don't let it go back out into the universe. So very important, very cool. And they do allow you to, and really you just need like a shipping container and you can build the machine in there for a very cost-effective amount. And I have seen community leaders go out and actually raise the money from their governments to do this. The governments are paying exorbitant amount of ridiculous fees to run these recycle centers. Then their idea was they were going to pay $1 to collect the trash and then get paid by China $100 to ship it. So they never really were in it to recycle. And it shows, and they're all bailing because they're not able to make their buck anymore, you know? So yeah, I think, oh, hey, Evelyn, good morning. Nice to see you on today. Let's see, Vera says, here in Germany, 87% of the plastic is collected, but only 18% are recycled. The rest is burned. Ah, Vera, that's crazy. Now, Vera, I heard, and correct me if I'm wrong about this, but one of the positive news pieces I heard is that Germany plans on banning single-use plastic by 2021. Now, I'm curious if you've heard about that over there. It sounds like a wonderful, wonderful program and initiative. And I think Germany actually has a lot of the initiatives to move forward in a more sustainable way with their cars and also with the recycling. So yeah, I'd love to know more about that. Mitch, this is no glass period. Wow, you can't even recycle glass. You know, Mitch, my mom's in West Virginia. She told me the same thing. They've just removed a bunch of recycling restrictions for that. And Chelsea says, I collect straws to make beautiful art. Chelsea, I love that. I have a good friend that works on programs like that around the world, and it's called Make Art, Not Waste. They're fantastic. My friend Nina runs it. And one of the cool things they do are eco bricks. And if you guys don't know about eco bricks, what they do is they take plastic bottles and fill them with just plastic trash and then embed them in the cement, and they actually create a strengthening for the buildings, right? Instead of a rebar. It creates this strengthening and actually is used, and it's beautiful because you're going to build these buildings and, you know, we're not going to be able to get rid of all the plastics, right? And if they're not going to recycle them properly, fantastic use to get them out of where they're no longer leaching into the environment, and they're doing something good for us, which is fantastic. Hey, Stell, good morning. Thanks for joining. It's good to see everybody here on the coffee time. Chelsea says Germany does 5 kinds of recycling. Ah, it's beautiful. I love that. That's fantastic. And then Chelsea says, yeah, China just dumps it. Well, you know, the thing is, and I'm glad that you collect the straws, because if you can turn those negative things into something positive that brings a beauty instead of a destruction, that's what we're all about here, you know? And we can do that with plastics. We can do that with conversations too, you know? It's interesting. I have found recently, conversations are a little harder to have. People are a little bit more worked up about stuff right now, but at the same time, they're also more frightened about what's happening and what is happening and what are silent killers. Like, people aren't, here's the thing about COVID, people debate it because they can't see it. Now, this is the same problem we're going to have with these air emissions once they start burning all this plastic. It's the same problem they have in Cancer Alley in New Orleans right now, where because there are so many negative air emissions, people have these accelerated cancer rates of over 600 times the national average. And it's unregulated now. The EPA's actually pulled back all their regulations on it. So, but nobody can see it, so it's harder to point it out. In Florida, when I was down there investigating some stuff, it was a little bit easier in the sense that we had Geiger counters and we could understand the radioactivity of the land we were in. We had water tests, and we can do water tests, but air tests get really complicated. And Stell actually, I think, has some great solutions about air testing and information on not only how to test your environment in your local area, but what's going on. And that is fightforzero.org, fight number 4, numeral 4, zero.org. One of the best resources on the internet for water quality and water information. And Chelsea, I think you are right. The EPA is gone. Look, this is the problem that we're going to have. It's if you think about it, as conservationists, environmentalists, we have never ever focused on people that run these. I personally think we should remove Wheeler, and I'd like to see a national campaign started to remove Andrew Wheeler. He should never have been in the EPA to begin with. He is a coal lobbyist. He was the vice president of the DC Coal Lobbyist Association. It's just sickening. And his job was to go in and neuter the EPA from the inside, which they have done. And the problem is that poisons millions of children every day. And that is unconscionable. And the thing is, I can't believe we have a system that allows the poisoning of millions of gallons of water every day to give children cancer, and nobody is stepping up. And so this is why we need to remove Andrew Wheeler. He is environmental enemy number 1. He is one of the most destructive things ever to happen in our country. And I personally want to see him go. Yeah, Wheeler's got to go. Stell says Nancy Beck, thumbs down. Absolutely. And Stell actually prepared a lot of information about Nancy Beck. And if you don't know who Nancy Beck is, go to Fight for Zero right after the show. Check it out. It's important. It affects all of us, just like Wheeler. So we're going to do that. And you know what, Chelsea? Yeah, exactly. He is completely a Monsanto. And hey, Lucky, good morning from the UK. And this is, and you also understand the water protections after having worked in South America. I know you also worked on pink dolphin campaigns as well as when I was down there. And one of the threats they face in the Amazon is the amount of mercury that comes from illegal gold mining up and down there. And it's really dangerous, and it's actually killing a lot of the animals. And you got to think about that too, is not only is it killing the animals, but the animals that absorb it, a lot of these people live off of fish. So they're eating the toxins, and the fish absorb the toxins and keep the toxins. And this is going to be another danger in Florida. And I'm very worried for my friends that do eat fish in Florida, because you already have a microplastic problem. And I'm not saying don't eat fish in Florida, and I'm not saying that the fish down there are bad, but the pesticide use and what Scott Wilson and Mike Knepper have been doing to highlight the amount of tumors and things that are going on fish. Now, everybody, I don't personally fish, but I was surfing a few weeks ago, and this guy was fishing next to me. He's on the land, he's cast out. His line is 10 feet away from me. I'm on my board. So afterwards I said to him, hey, what do you catch? Whatever, ocean perch or something. I don't remember. But I said, can I see it? And he pulled the fish out, and it had this giant boil on the bottom, just like Scott Wilson's photographs. And everybody, a lot of fishermen are really important to help conservation. I think sometimes they're put at these opposites, but they're kind of the same. And I really think that they need to combine together. And this pesticide is one of the things where fishermen and conservationists are together. Because when I saw that boil, it made me realize that the poisoning that's going on in the Florida waterways, and Scott's photos and the fishermen that tend to do these are from rivers, ponds, and enclosed areas, not the ocean. This guy was fishing in the ocean. This means that whatever's going on in these little ponds and rivers is also going on in the ocean. And that's a bigger problem than any of us had known or realized previously. So now's the time for us. And that's the beauty of where we are. Thank you, Sierra, for putting up the fightforzero.org link for me. That is one of my absolute favorite websites. Stell says, appointing people who represent polluters and not the environment. And Stell, it makes me so angry, and you're right. And I think that people got fooled because people were told to hate politicians, right? And I mean, I can't disagree with that. But the thing is, replacing a politician with a lobbyist for the industry that is supposed to be regulated by the very position in which you're being appointed is nothing short of that's just underhanded cruelty. It's just cruelty, and it is allowing children to be poisoned every day. I am very angry with it. As somebody that battles cancer every day, I don't even get to sleep through the night because of so many pains and spasms, and everybody that's going through cancer knows what I'm talking about. I didn't have to have this cancer. If somebody would have been a touch more responsible, I wouldn't have this cancer. And if we can force our government and our companies to become responsible, a lot of kids are not going to have to go through what I'm going through. So yeah, I'm mad. Personally, I'm on a mission. This is something that is very personal to me, and it's non-negotiable. These people are poisoning our waters and our children and us every single day. Andrew Wheeler, you've got the blood of millions on your hands. Anyway, Chelsea says dolphins have Alzheimer's now. Yeah, Chelsea, that's amazing. They have recently discovered that in Florida, and it's been a growing problem. And all these neurotoxins being thrown into the waters willy-nilly without any form of regulation. This is problematic. I know people don't like the word regulation, but at the moment, there are companies like U.S. Sugar and Monsanto and Mosaic, and these people can literally put any toxin they want into your water. And you know what? You're going to pay for it because these are all publicly subsidized companies, and subsidized means that your tax dollars make the difference in what they should be paying through fees, taxes, and other things. So your state is paying these companies to poison you. And that is business as usual. This is what we have to combat. It's a bigger concept. It's bigger than one company. It's bigger than one guy at the EPA. It's the system in itself. And 50 years ago it was an invisible system of poisoning, but we're smart now. And we have tests, and we don't live in the dark ages anymore. We have the internet. People can talk. We know what's going on. We're not idiots. The most educated people I know on these topics are people that have lived through them, and those are the people that become activists generally. And that's why I think we see so much passion, especially in Florida, so many families affected, so many unanswered questions, and so many a continual rise in the danger rates down there. And guys, I was thinking about trying to do a roundtable with Florida. What do you guys think? I would love to get together and invite a lot of the groups that are fighting for clean water in Florida to do an online roundtable where we can have maybe, 15, 20 people in there. I don't know. Everybody, let me know what you think. I think it would be a really fascinating thing to do because there's so many great activists down there, and so many are working individually, and they could be working together because they are on the same mission, but they just are busy and they don't know that they're on the same mission. Anyway, I think it could be great. Stell says yes, yes, yes. And Stell's one of those people that is always trying to connect with all the other groups. And Mitch says we're in. Excellent. So that's I love that. So I'm all into that. Anyway, Estelle says, replying to Sierra, thank you for sharing. Great. So that, we're getting an amazing interaction here. And this is what I think is the most important thing, is that we provide a positive place for positive news and positive thoughts. Like, look, we all know there are problems. And on the Conservation Conversation, on the actual podcast, we tackle a lot of those with positive solutions and resolutions. So you can move forward in your everyday life and make a change in the world around you. Mosaic says it's just one drop in the bucket. Yeah, unfortunately, Mosaic's one drop is is making that bucket so toxic, you know. It's terrible what these companies are allowed to do. It's terrible the states allow them to do it, and it's terrible that somebody who's a lobbyist is now in charge of running and overseeing these companies. So it's really, really amazing. So I would love to see a movement. I want to talk to everybody about maybe we can start something, actually. Maybe we should start something to remove Andrew Wheeler. And we need to start paying more attention to these local people. You know, we only pay attention to the big guys, but who's in the EPA? Who's in the Department of Energy right now? Did you know that the Department of Energy and NASA have reneged on an idea to clean up a site called Santa Susana in California, and that was 1959, had the emissions, and nobody knew that it was going on, and everybody's been getting cancers around the areas there now. NASA and the Department of Energy both said that they would provide a cleanup, and in 2010, they guaranteed it, and 3 years ago they said we're not going to do it. And now NASA is trying to create it as a national monument instead of a superfund site so that they do not have to pay for cleaning it up. So, you know, we find these kind of things everywhere. So anyway, I think it's great. The more we talk, the more solutions we can find as a group, and the more heads we put together, the better off we are. You know, so we need to see this, and we need to get it in. So Mitch, excellent. Sherry says excellent. Stell, all right, everybody, I think let's do this. Chelsea is in support, so I think why don't we set this up? I'm going to talk to everybody, and we will have our first roundtable coming up soon. I think. Everybody, let me know what day's best for you. Also, so look at that. Something positive and brand new just came out of a positive, brand new conversation today, and I think that's what we have to really do. Hey, Elena, Buna Sarah, no, Buna Ziwa, which is a good day, which is, I think, around the time over in Romania now. And also hello to my friend Alex over in Ukraine, who works on bringing things to children in need and villages in need. He brings a lot of electrical equipment out there. And you'll be hearing a lot more about Alex in the upcoming months. I'm going to be partnering up with him on a new project. Excuse me. So, you know, as COVID starts to mellow out, and as our lives start to return to normal, we have a wonderful opportunity to make positive changes, especially in this dark, dark time, you know. Chelsea, thanks for being on. I really appreciate your input. I know that you are very active in the water community, and thank you for getting that plastic out of the ecology and the economy of the area right there. And please stay with us on all of our shows. And Sherry says, you're awesome. We're going to invite you this Thursday Zoom call to FRON, Florida Rights of Nature Network. Oh, that sounds fantastic. There's a lot of great rights of nature groups that are forming. And don't forget, if you think nature can't have rights, remember that a federal judge sided with migratory birds. It doesn't even matter what kind, just any birds that migrate over our current changes in law. So great news. You know, the great news is there's a lot of judges out there, and they're sort of these hidden heroes of conservation. I never thought about them before, but they have stepped in so many times to prevent what could be problems. Now, they have let a lot of problems go through as well, but you know, they are kind of, in a lot of ways, our new eco-heroes. You know, they've prevented a lot of things. So remember that nature has won already. Nature is winning. And with our love, our hearts and our minds and our energy and our connection, we're going to help nature win back its proper seat at the table when it comes to discussions about industry, health, people in general. People think that only they are the concerns when it comes to decisions. So, you know, we're seeing this beautiful change in the mind back over. So thanks for being on today, Mitch. Thank you, Elena. Thank you, Andrea, Sherry, Chelsea, and I'm really excited. Stell, thanks for being on today. And remember, guys, if you're frustrated and waking up, just remember the 3 great pieces of news that we talked about today. Number 1, triple the electric car sales in Australia because people just think it's time. Nobody even had to ask them to do it. Really cool. As they say in Australia, good on you. Number two is the baby boom in Kenya. Elephants are having a baby boom right now. Now that's from I want to say 2019. They found the baby boom. 2020, they don't know yet because elephants, it takes 2 years for them to have their babies. So you can't judge every year how the elephant population is. It's an every other year event. So great news on that. You know, all the efforts are working, all the consciousness is working, everything people do is working, from buying ethical products to donating to these NGOs, to actually being on the front line, to making documentaries like Carrie David does. Everything is working and it's becoming one voice. So we have a baby boom of elephants, which were on their way towards extinction, and now it's being reversed. Beautiful news. And then just to keep our minds blown, brand new kind of seahorse discovered. I mean, that's so cool. And the other thing I love about the seahorse story is, scientists didn't discover it, divers did. And it's the rise of the citizen scientist. We have an investment in our world, and we are citizen scientists. And as long as we keep asking how, why, and what, and keep looking at the world around us, we're going to make it better, just naturally by being who and how we are. So great news, and it's a beautiful story about how, citizen divers, citizen scientists, and scientists can come together and still discover a world. Remember, we don't know everything. There are things we don't know, like 97% of the Amazon. There are so many undiscovered animals still. So we, as a human race, we are not as advanced as we'd like to fashion ourselves. And I always think about that in history. People built the castle. They're like, "Whoa, we're so advanced. This is so cool," And then it's just like they had the butter churning thing. They're like, "This is amazing. This is so advanced," So I think we're kind of silly in our own way, thinking that we really are so smart that we can control nature to our advantage. It just shows that we haven't really learned anything yet, and it's time to re-educate ourselves. So anyway, thank you everybody for a wonderful coffee time. It's so nice to see everybody. I hope everybody has a wonderful Wednesday. And if you need to have one more cup of coffee, think about our eco victories that we have, and know that any eco victory we can conceive of is possible, and it's on its way. So be positive. Have a great day, everybody. Remember, it's our world. Let's talk about it.